Okay, assalamu alaikum people. Let me move my Insta people over here while I move my Facebook people over here. My cameras are a little off today. Let me see if I can fix this for y'all. And I'm gonna be looking all sideways and halfways, and not in the right position and stuff like that. I should do this probably before I go live, I think. All right, there we go. There we go. I think I'm good now. I think so. I'm cold, as you can see. I have on my warm sweater today. So, I'm a little chilly, but I'm back. And that's the important part, right, people? I am back. I missed you. All right. We are back and we are talking about food as poison or medicine. I thought that would be a nice little light topic, as light as it can get. So if you are just joining me and this is your first time logging onto one of my lives, my name is Mubaraka Ibrahim and I am your health and happiness coach. I normally go live on my pages Monday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. If you have not subscribed to my lives, the little ding bell that Facebook gives you to click, go to Instagram and click that you want to be notified when I go live, then you've missed out because we've had 2 straight weeks of awesome content. If you've missed it, the week before last, I spent the entire week talking about intermittent fasting. And then I spent an entire week talking about the history and the pros and cons of a ketogenic diet. Unfortunately, this week, I was not able to join you guys on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday because my brother-in-law passed away. And I had several family members who was diagnosed with COVID. So life has been a little for me. But I am here, alhamdulillah, man, as my mother would say, man plan, jinn plan, Allah is the best of planners. So I actually had to go and fly down to see my sister and nieces and nephews and attend the janazah. And I am currently on quarantine, but I'm feeling fine. So, y'all want to hear about my trip? So, it was quite interesting. It is the first time since the pandemic started that I got on a plane to go anywhere. And I love traveling. I enjoy traveling. I like seeing different places. My favorite place thus far, besides, of course, when I got a chance to go to Mecca, outside of religious places, so don't let the religious police come for me, okay? Outside of religious places, my favorite place is Costa Rica. I say my blood may say African, but my spirit says Caribbean. Because I love Costa Rica. It's beautiful all year long. The people are nice. It's one of my favorite places to go. But it's been a pandemic. So I ain't been going nowhere. I have been very responsible. I have been staying home, staying safe, social distancing, wearing my mask. I even skipped full Thanksgiving at everybody's house and opted for the Zoom Thanksgiving, even for family. I've been really doing my part. But my sister needed me. And so I had to go to my brother-in-law's janazah, and I had to get on a plane with strange people that I don't know. Which is a little bit weird for me. So, just so you know, if you are traveling within the United States of America and you are traveling on American Airlines, they don't believe in social distancing when you get on the plane. They are packing those planes every seat. If they said that they're going to leave that middle seat open, they lying. They is not leaving no seat open. I thought that they said they were going to do some social, which is so crazy because in the inside of the airport, they're like, oh, stay safe, social distance, stay 6 feet apart. But then you go and sit next to somebody on the airplane. Bruh. So, going there, it wasn't so bad. They had everybody packed. My row actually had 3 people in it. I requested an aisle seat because I figured like that would give me just a little space. And a guy was sitting inside of my seat. And so I asked him, told him that that was my seat. But before he could move, I realized that there was like 6 rows with nobody in them and the door was closed. So I looked at the stewardess. I said, would you mind if I sit in one of the empty seats? And she was like, sure, go ahead. So going there, I felt a little bit better that I was sitting in a row by myself. Coming back, however, the plane was so crowded that they had us to check in the bags that we were supposed to put on inside of the overhead. There was no more space because every seat on the plane was taken. Bruh, they are not helping the pandemic. I'm just saying. So, I'm doing the responsible thing. While I was away, I actually ordered mask without a vent, my KN95s, that I wear when I have to walk through the house, go to the bathroom, or get something to eat in order to protect my family until I find out whether or not I got COVID. Isn't that sad? Like, this is like so sad that you have to go through all of this just because you may have this little teeny weeny virus. So inshallah I don't, but I'll get tested. I think I'm going to get tested tomorrow. It will be my 3 days. They say 3 to 5 days or something like that after you. So we'll see. I'll get tested tomorrow. All right. That's not what you're probably logged onto the video for, but that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you? How y'all doing? I'm just saying. Y'all can talk to me. Let's talk a little bit about food, people. All right? Let's talk about food being a poison or a healing product. So there are 2 things that your food are going to do to you. It's either going to make you worse or make you better, unfortunately. But the beautiful thing is that Allah has given us every single type of food to make us better, to improve whatever health and wellness, illness that we have, that we want to improve. Allah has given it to us, and He has given it to us in the proper proportions. And it's not just about whether or not we are able to have a certain food. Also, not having certain foods is a form of healing, quote unquote fasting, which we talked about extensively a couple of weeks ago. When we talk about food as a healing, I want to bring your attention first to just the amount of food that we eat, right? So I'm going to just constantly remind you, as I remind you all the time, that healthy eating isn't just about the types of food you eat. It is also about the amount of food you eat and how often you eat, right? Islam is a complete religion, and its recommendations for Sunnah fast is not just for spiritual benefit. It also gives physical benefits. So it's like mind, body, and spirit. That is the benefit of intermittent fasting. And so think about that as we get closer to Ramadan, right? We're less than 3 months away from Ramadan. So we have to start preparing both our mind and our body for that. And also think about that in terms of your everyday eating, right? How often do you really need to eat? Are you really hungry, or are you just eating out of habit? Are you snacking because somebody told you that you needed to have a snack in between your meals? Which we don't, by the way. You do not need to snack. Snacking is unnecessary and overrated. Stop snacking, okay? That's what I'm going to say. Stop snacking. Eat. Once you eat a full nutrient-dense meal, you will have no need to snack between meals. That is super important. When we look at food in terms of how it affects our bodies, we have to look at, number one, when it goes into our body, right? Again, I'm going to refer you to a great book called The Circadian Code that talks about the body in a way where there are two things that actually activates or restores our system. That is the first time that we eat during the day and the first time we open up our eyes to light. Those are two most important indicators for your entire body, because we don't just have a circadian rhythm for our, we don't just have a circadian rhythm for sleep. We actually have a circadian rhythm in every single cell in our body. For our digestive system, for our heart, our lungs, our immune system, everything has a circadian rhythm. Rashida, I assume that you were just joining us, and I spent an entire week 2 weeks ago talking about intermittent fasting, and we went a whole week talking about it. So scroll back a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago worth of videos. You'll find 4 videos where we went in depth on intermittent fasting. And by the way, if you have any questions along the way, just go ahead and post them, and I will get started. You know what? I'm sitting here talking to Facebook, thinking my Instagram is on, and my Instagram people is not even with me. Hi, Insta people. I thought you were with me, but apparently I have not pushed go live. But that's okay. That's okay. I was talking to Facebook people. So, when we talk about food as a poison or healing, we also have to think of it in terms of portions of food, right? How much food do we actually need, right? This is a really important point in terms of using food as a method of healing, all right? So just with everything else, including medications, just because a little bit of something is good for you doesn't mean a lot of something is good for you. So here's actually a really interesting point, and I don't know if you know this, excuse me, but vitamin C, let's take vitamin C for instance, and I'm going to use 2 extremes, all right? One extreme is without vitamin C, we can develop things like scurvy, right, as a disease. And people know that if you have vitamin C, that it actually boosts the immune system. But too much vitamin C can actually cause an abortion. Long time ago, before abortions were actually physically done, naturopathic doctors would actually tell women who wanted to induce a miscarriage. Again, I'm not recommending this. I'm just giving you some facts. They would actually tell them to take like 2,000 or 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour for like 48 hours, and it would actually induce a miscarriage. So again, just because it's a good thing doesn't mean that it's too much more of it is going to be a good thing. Really important, right? So you single day because I need potassium. Avocados actually have more potassium. You might actually get better results actually looking for a different source, all right? So when you look at your plate, how do you determine nutrient density? There should be at least 3 colors on your plate, right? So think about your plate. Every time you sit down to eat, you should have at least 3 colors on your plate. Why? Because colors is what indicates nutrients in food. Allah was so smart. Is he not Al-Hakim? Like, he literally was like, you know what? Before they learn about vitamins and minerals, why don't I just color everything and then they can put like a rainbow on their plate? So, literally taste the rainbow. So that is what you need. So for example, we know things that are orange have carotene in them, right? So carrots, bananas aren't orange, carrots have carotene. We know this, right? Things that are deep green has iron in it and vitamin K in it, right? So we know that there are nutrients attached to each color of a food. So in lieu of not knowing exactly what nutrient what vitamins and minerals is in every food. The way that you get around that, because maybe you don't want to become a nutritionist, maybe you don't want to go study nutrition, you just want to make sure that you have a healthy diet. The way you get around that is making sure you have a large variety of color in your food, in your plate. So an example of that, if you're having chicken breasts, rice, and some corn, right? In my mind, that's the worst meal you could ever have, but I will use it because that's what came to my mind. All right. Your chicken breast and your rice are both shades of white and tan, right? Yellow, you might be able to get away with that being a different color, the corn, right? Or even if you threw broccoli in there, it's green. But now you only have 2 colors on your plate. Think of, for example, having a burger and fries, right? You don't have a lot of variety of color. So you need to add additional color to your plate. What else colorful would you like on your plate? So even, for example, if you decide to have chicken and you're going to have some collard greens, I'll give you an example. So if you scroll down on either the IG videos or my Facebook videos, you will see that I have a recipe for black collard greens, right? I often use that as my vegetable, but it only has 1 color. So if I'm having some chicken with some black collard greens, I need a 3rd color. A part of my black collard greens is tomatoes. So now I have 3 colors on my plate. I have the brown of the chicken, I have the green of the collards, and I have the red of tomatoes. And I know that I am getting a variety of nutrients, right? Now, for me personally, what I am now making effort towards is I eat a lot of greens. I eat collard greens and I eat kale and I eat broccoli. And so I'm like, I'm missing something. I'm missing other colors because they can't have everything in it, right? They do have calcium and vitamin K and all of these nutrients, but it's not going to have as much carotene as, say, a carrot has, right? So I might want to start, and I am intentionally increasing the colors of my vegetables in order for me to vary the nutrients. Being aware of foods that are nutrient dense versus foods that are not nutrient dense. I love salad, but I am not a salad fan. How do I love salad, but I'm not a salad fan? Is because people think that salad is a healthy food. Most lettuce that people use in salad has little to no nutrient density to it. Iceberg lettuce is like the worst thing. That's a filler, right? Meaning it's what you put in your salad when you having guests and you trying to make the food spread. It's not really what you put in your salad to actually get nutrients from. Okay? It's a filler. It's mostly water. So if you want to add more, so I love salads because I just personally love the taste of salads, but I also like really dense salads. So I will put baby kale in my salad, which has much more nutrients than iceberg lettuce. Spinach, let me tell you this about spinach. If you did not see my video about organic versus non-organic, the quick thing that I would say is that in the rate of what are the best and least contaminated, for lack of better terms, fruits and vegetable, spinach is like the worst when it comes to maintaining the pesticides that they grow them with. They maintain 98% of the pesticides. So anytime you buy spinach, always buy organic. As opposed to, for example, broccoli, which maintains 0 to 3%, much less. So even when they're grown with pesticides, by the time they get on your plate, there's no pesticides detected, almost no pesticides detected at all. So if you're trying to budget buying organic versus non-organic, that can be a helpful tip. So stay away from non-organic spinach. Always buy it organically, right? But you may choose to buy broccoli as a non-organic. If you're budgeting, right? That was helpful for me when I had small kids because I had 4 of them and they ate a lot. Okay, so salads, we love them, but we don't like them. Salads are a filler. If you are gonna make a salad as created as a meal, make sure that you're using nutrient dense leafy greens like baby kale. Full kale is kind of thick to be eaten raw. Also, spinach is a really good leafy green to use inside of your salad, but then add other stuff to it, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, never just have a salad for your meal. You must always put protein on your salad. Anytime that you have a salad for a meal, you're going to be hungry 30 minutes later, because that's about how long it takes for your body to digest the vegetables that are in the salad. All right? So always have protein. So you can add some eggs, chopped up boiled eggs into your salad. You can add salmon on top. You can add beans if you are not following a keto plan. So you can add chickpeas. You can add chicken, right? Whatever you add, it must be protein. Why? Because number one, protein boosts your metabolism. All right, so that's really important. It actually gives you a metabolic boost because your body has to use more energy to break down protein than it does carbohydrates or fats. The second reason why your salad should always have protein is because protein keeps you full longer. Let's call that, I don't know. I'm not numbering the tips. Next tip. So let's say ding, ding, ding tip. So bring your attention to it. So this tip is have protein with your salad. If you're going to have a salad, have protein with every meal actually, because it increases your metabolism and it keeps you full longer. So that is a really good tip for you if you are trying to decrease the amount of food that you are eating. It's also a good tip if you decide to try intermittent fasting and it's hard for you to go a long time, to go for the full 16 hours without food. Like some people will say, well, I want to stop eating by 6 o'clock, but by the time 9 o'clock comes, I'm really hungry, but I know I can't eat that late. And having just tea or water isn't helping, and I'm hungry in the night. If that is an issue for you, then that means that you need to increase the amount of protein of your last meal, because protein keeps you full longer. So eat more protein. So this is a really important tip when you're eating for a specific goal. And just as a quick side note, if you aren't familiar with kind of some of the philosophies that I talk about on my lives, one of my philosophies is there is no universal healthy food, right? Everybody can't eat everything. You need to eat according to your health and according to your goals, right? So one person, for example, their goal may be that they want to get off of insulin or reduce insulin resistance or not be pre-diabetic. For them, honey is not a healthy food. For somebody who their goal is just to maintain health and to maybe increase their weight, may be fine for them to have honey. They have no insulin resistance, right? That's the kind of things that I mean when I say eat according to your goal, and there is no universally healthy food. So I'll give another example of something that's not so controversial, because people freak out when I say don't eat honey because it's a sunnah. It is a sunnah, but it's not a fard. I just say that. So tomatoes, let's use tomatoes for example, right? So tomato is a wonderfully healthy food. It actually has lots of lycopene, which is an anti-cancer antioxidant, right? It has lots of vitamin C, but if you have acid reflux, that's actually going to make it worse for you. So tomatoes would not be a healthy food for you. So that's what I mean by I don't believe in a universal healthy foods. There are foods that are healthy and healthful for specific goals and health conditions, all right? So We talked about how important protein is. We talked about how important it is for you to create a rainbow on your plate as it being nutrient dense. Let's talk for a minute how important it is for you to avoid processed foods. And what is a processed food, right? Anything that you buy in a package is a processed food, period. I don't care if it says vegan. I don't care if it says that it was carried on its head by some Buddhist monks from the top of the Nepal mountains and then blessed in the stream and wrapped in organic burlap before it was hand delivered to you. I don't care. It's processed, don't eat it. If you can look on the back of it and you can still have to look at the nutrition label, then it's probably processed. Probably processed. Stay away from stuff with packages. That's like the easiest tip I can give you. Stay away from stuff with packages. Eat vegetables. Eat protein, right? Those things are going to be the most helpful and healing for your body, right? Intermittent fasting, helpful and healing for your body. I'm acting a little bit on the side today. Yes. So you have to make sure that when you are choosing your foods, that you are choosing what is the most natural. What I tell people is, as you develop your grocery list for the week or your menu list, think about, how would I eat if I had to grow and raise all of my own food, right? Would you be eating Cheerios in the morning if you lived on a farm? Probably not. So that kind of stuff you put way on the back burner. Now, one of the issues that a lot of parents have, because we don't just want to make ourselves healthy, we want to make our entire family healthy, is, well, my kids really love this, right? So it's going to be hard to break it. Your kids you create the food pattern for your kids, right? Help them to understand what is healthy that they eat mostly of, and the things that are a treat, right? And it really is about you. Number one, you have to normalize it. Normalize healthy eating for your family. That is super important. That is one of the things that I think that was a central goal in me raising my children, that I wanted to change that generational thought that diabetes was inevitable, that healthy eating wasn't important. As African Americans, one of the dilemmas that we find ourselves in, that we have to recognize so that we changed, is my mother's generation, they were not concerned about whether or not food is healthy. And this is often, and I shouldn't say just my mother's generation, oftentimes when people have food insecurity and in poverty, I grew up, my dad died when I was young, my mother was on welfare, we did not have a lot of money, and when you're trying to simply eat, then nutrition is on the back burner. When your goal is, I need to feed my kids something, then what's healthy is not actually the priority. Keeping your kids from their stomach hurting from starvation is the priority. And I completely get that, and I completely understand that. But when you have an option of normalizing healthy foods, then you should normalize healthy foods for yourself and your family, right? When I grew up, I tell people health was mentioned just as often as every other Chinese word in my house. Never. We did not know Chinese. And we were not really concerned about whether or not a food was healthy. My mother just fed us because she came from a generation where she would help her grandfather who was a sharecropper, right, on the farm. And it was about whether or not they just had enough food to eat. It wasn't about whether or not they had an option between this and that. This is what was grown and this is what you're going to eat. And so the knowledge of nutrition or healthy eating was not a priority for her generation. But alhamdulillah, in my generation, for her children, we have options and we have access to knowledge about education. And so not only can we make healthier choices based on our health goals and outcomes, but we can also normalize it for our children, right? So some of those efforts that you can make is begin to, I'm going to tell you some stuff you probably heard 1 billion times. Stop drinking soda. All right, you've heard that 100 million times. Soda is really bad for you. It's really bad for your kids. You should not be drinking soda. All right. Second thing, stop drinking juice. And I've said this over and over again. I am anti-juice. Anti-juice. I'm anti-juice and anti-juicing. Yes. So even if you make the juice at home with your juicer, no. All right. When you have small kids, it's much easier. So for all my moms out there, they got kids who are like 3 and under, I would say even 5 and under. This is an easy thing to start normalizing with them. Now, if you've been giving your kids juice and soda for the last 13 years, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, right? But the good thing is that once they get to an age where it is more challenging for you to control their diet, they're also at an age where they can understand and you can explain it to them, right? That is really important, right? Actually, kids are much smarter, I think, sometimes than adults give them credit for, especially these teenagers these days. They be understanding stuff. So here's the interesting thing about obesity research in general. There are dozens of philosophy that researchers talk about what is the ultimate cause of obesity. Is it because we just sit too much? Is it because we eat too much processed food? Is it because we drink too many sugary drinks? Is it because we're not exercising? All of those are different philosophies where different researchers say, well, this is the main cause, right? All of those are correlated. There is one thing that no matter what camp a researcher is or medical professional is, that there is one thing that they all agree on. Sugary beverages is the #1 contributor to obesity. That includes soda and juices because it's literally just sugar, right? Even if it's natural sugar, it is sugar. Your insulin and your hormones in your body and your metabolism is actually responding the same way to natural sugar as it is to high fructose corn syrup. Well, no. That's not true. Your insulin level is responding the same way. Your metabolism responds a little bit different. It actually stores more calories from high fructose corn syrup as fat than it does natural sugar. But they both signal an insulin response, which is telling your body to hold on to fat. So your hormones are going to respond the same to both of those, but your metabolism actually responds slightly different for high fructose corn syrup versus natural sugars. That's important to know. So normalize eating healthy for your family. It's super important. As women, we are normally more often, we are the people that shop for the house. We are the people that cook, right? Research shows that even in 2-parent household where both parents are involved in the caretaking of the family, women are 70% more likely to be the ones who are responsible for the food and cooking. So that gives us a lot of power over our family's health. Normalize healthy eating. Don't make a big deal out of it. The way that you cannot get your family to eat healthy is walking in the door and say, we're going to start eating healthy and you can't have this and we're only going to have that. That is not a good way of normalizing it. Normalizing it is, hey, I made a new meal today and we're going to try this, right? That is a normalizing the aspect of it. Hey, you know what? I didn't buy juice this week. We're going to reduce the amount of juice that we're eating. Not as an option, but you know what? This is a healthier choice that we're making, right? That kind of stuff. Start slowly doing it by decreasing the amount. Sugar is addictive. It's also addictive for our children. So you want to actually keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you make these changes, because people will react very harshly when you take away their drug of sugar. They will act very harshly. I will tell you a story. One of my clients who joined the program, who sent me a beautiful message at the right time. All right? She sent me a beautiful message at the right time. I had posted some stop eating honey, reduce your sugar, and people were like, and I just stopped eating bread, and people were just attacking me, and they were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Honey is this and I was like totally being attacked. And so she sent me a message, and she said to me that she followed and unfollowed me several times because every time I would talk about cutting sugar out the diet, she felt personally attacked because she knew she had a sugar addiction. She was like, and because sugar isn't an addiction, people will respond very vehemently when you tell them that they need to cut it out. And mind you, bread, rice, pasta, it all turns to sugar in your blood. So people who say, well, I cannot live without bread, they're addicted to sugar. Because that's what is turning into their blood, and that is the response their body is giving them, right? And so it really actually made me much more patient with people, because I realized that the people who were attacking me, they were literally just responding to somebody telling them, you need to get off drugs. And your drug is sugar. I'm just saying. So, it made me a little bit more patient. I'm just babbling on at this point. But next week, we are talking about stress all week long. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we are talking about stress. We're going to talk about breath work. We're going to do a little bit of mindfulness together. So make sure that you are subscribed to the lives, that you have it down 11:30 a.m. And we'll talk about it then. So I'll have a couple of all right. So she says her pediatrician said not to give my son at all. He is 1 year old. So I posted the other day. So here's an interesting thing. Anita, right? Is the other day I posted how the FDA actually refused to change the sugar and alcohol guidelines for adults, despite a panel of doctors and researchers recommending that they change it. But what they did do, so give credit where credit is due, they changed the recommendation for children, and they suggest that children under 2 should not be given sugar at all. None. Zero, zilch. Right? So that means under 2 at your 1 year old's birthday party, the FDA does not suggest that you give them birthday cake. They could actually have their first cake at 2. I'm just the messenger. Just saying, okay? And I also would recommend that you start, she said she gives her son small oranges and half bananas for snack. Try to vary his snack with things that are not so loaded in sugar. Because especially if he has sugar cravings, only thing the oranges and bananas are doing is they're feeding that craving, right? See if he will enjoy some nuts or some pieces of cheese or some plain yogurt with maybe a little berries on top, right? So it actually decreases. So berries have less sugar than other fruit. So the lowest sugar fruit that you're going to take advantage of is actually berries. So you want to make sure that you're not just substituting artificial sugar with natural sugar, because they're both doing the same thing. Mariam says stress is dessert spelled backwards. So maybe I'll have to bring some keto-friendly desserts online with me next week. So we can have some stress desserts. And somebody asked, do I speak French or Arabic? No, I do not. I am a corny American that speaks one language, 1.5 language. I speak a little bit of Arabic, enough to probably have a introductory conversation, maybe buy something from the market, but not fluently. I think Americans are the only people that actually only speak one language. But yeah, I'm just just a regular English speaking American. Alhamdulillah, I am glad that I am helping you improve your life and feel better. That is my goal. Alhamdulillah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, until Monday. Today's Thursday. So, Monday, we're talking about stress desserts. Okay, so inshallah, I will talk to you guys then. Remember, subscribe to the lives, tell a friend about it, tag somebody, and let's get ready to be much more intentional and mindful next week. And we're going to talk about how that can actually improve your health and boost your immune system by doing meditation and mindfulness and even a little breath work. It can, but we'll talk about the science next week. All right? Assalamu alaikum.